Welcome to a Dynamo Spotlight On NRG Energy. Today, Kristin Barbato, co-founder and president of Dynamo Energy Hub, interviews Lynda Clemmons, Chief Sustainability Officer at NRG. Lynda is an innovative leader in the energy transition at NRG, a company which spans across the energy sector from generation to transmission to use.
Woohoo! I know, making it official. 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's wonderful to see you.
Hi, Kristin. Thanks for having me.
Joy. Pleasure's ours. And I just want to introduce myself briefly before we get into introductions and welcome you to Dynamo Spotlight On NRG. I'm Kristin Barbato, hosting our discussion today, co-founder and president of Dynamo Energy Hub. Very, very pleased to introduce Lynda Clemmons, who is the newly appointed Chief Sustainability Officer at NRG. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see you again.
Yes, you too. Saw you in New York at Climate Week, doing all kinds of great things there, and would love to continue our conversation. So why don't we begin by you telling us a little bit about who you are and a bit of your journey, and then we'll get into telling us about your company at NRG.
Okay, that sounds great. Thanks. So, my history really has been in the business to business sector, starting with wholesale energy a long time ago, working through the derivatives markets, natural gas, and then coming around to the power side of the market, working with commercial and industrial customers. I've been at NRG for 11 years now, and so I've had a variety of roles, and a lot of what we've been talking about has been the early stages of the energy transition and working with customers on their sustainability journey, working with NRG on its own sustainability journey. And I think we'll get into that a little bit more. But really, I would say that I feel like everything that I've done has led up to this kind of an opportunity to speak to not only our customers, right? Both on the residential side and the commercial side, but also now I get to speak to our investors. And so that's a pretty exciting transition for me to be able to talk about what we're doing and how our role is changing in the marketplace.
Yeah, what great perspective you bring. I've seen over the years of being in this industry for a while now that it's really the customer's perspective and the customer's journey that is driving change in the industry. And especially since we see what's happening with so many solutions that are customer based. You've had an incredible career doing those types of projects. And now the role that you've taken on with this Chief Sustainability Officer role is giving you the opportunity to leverage that experience and perspective into ways that are very strategic for the company as well as for your investors, which are probably looking at these policy changes and some of the governance that you need to comply with in a really, I won't say a harsh light, but it's something that is on the forefront of everybody's minds.
No, that's right. And there's a lot of discussion right now about what might be coming. And there's a lot of speculation about the rules that we might be facing.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of my job and part of NRG's job is try to make sure, one, that we're ready for whatever that is that's coming down, and to make sure that our customers are ready too, right? So we kind of get to do both things, which is when we help our customers on the journey, we're also helping ourselves, and the journey that we've gone on is of benefit to our customers because a lot of those barriers we've broken before our customers have gotten to them.
That's right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your company, NRG? Where are you? What are you doing? What are you focused on?
Sure. Well, we provide power and gas and home connected services to over 7 million customers, primarily North America. So, the entire industry is undergoing a dynamic transformation. NRG is going the same way, right? We're transforming from what was historically just a generation company as an independent power producer into now we're a home services company actually in residential homes. And so we run the gamut from that individual single meter and thermostat to working with large scale corporations, large scale industrial customers, as well as serving various utility companies around North America. So, our engagement is really it could be a case study, right, in looking at
Mhm.
every different aspect of the energy markets, participating in power, participating in gas, um, and then also participating on sustainability approaches and practices, right, including energy efficiency. We try to give our consumers more control over their energy use, and working with them to determine what works best for them is really one of our hallmarks, and one of the strongest points that we have when we're bringing our services to a customer.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that NRG has done really well transition. And it's not an easy transition going from independent power producer at one end of the supply chain effectively to then servicing the complete opposite end of the supply chain with the customer services. So making that transition is something that I think NRG has done really well. And having these perspectives is key to understanding what the needs of the customer are as you're breaking through those barriers. That's fantastic. So um, why don't you tell us? I know this is one of your first appearances as you're in your new role of Chief Sustainability Officer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your role in the energy transition for you and NRG, and what makes NRG unique in this way?
Sure. Well, I think the fact that we really do bridge that gap between the home all the way through the energy value chain. We are focused on decarbonizing, and let me say that our mission really is not to only decarbonize ourselves, but also to help our customers on their decarbonization journey. So, since 2014, we've reduced our CO2 equivalent emissions by 42%, which is a pretty hefty amount, right, for a company that historically had more than 53 gigawatts of generation. We're on our way to net zero in 2050. It's definitely going to be a journey. There's no doubt. Um, in 2022, we retired over 1,000 megawatts of coal, and we are retiring over 1,800 megawatts of gas-fired generation this year. So, I think we've definitely made commitments, not just in words, but in deeds. And some steps in this journey are seem obvious to some, but there are a lot of vagaries that get in. Whether it's regulation, or whether it's customer demand, or whether it's local requirements. So, we have to work with all of the aspects and all of the elements of the marketplace that aren't always as clear cut as I think most people would love for them to be, and certainly
Well,
we would
yeah,
love.
everybody would like to have those clear cut rules, but especially as we're transitioning to a different type of energy economy, there's going to be these nebulous areas. So I think you're navigating them well. In fact, if I did my calculation correctly in your little notations there about retirements, it sounds like that's almost 3,000 megawatts retired within the last year or two. Is that
Last 2
correct?
years. No,
Last two
that's
years.
right. That's accurate. And, within the generation space, there's oftentimes a lot of assets that change hands, and a lot of things that change on those actual power plant properties. So, for us, maintaining efficiency in the plants that we do own is really critical. We're also buying power for our customers.
Yeah.
We have 2 gigawatts of renewables under contract. We also have an incredible team that provides services to our corporate customers and helps them buy through virtual PPAs, as well as community solar. So that team is very active in providing our customers, especially our customers that might be in locations that we don't serve, or aren't
Mhm.
in a regulated territory. When it comes to customers, though, I mean, so much of what we're doing now, home is the center of that energy transition, and everything
Yes.
everything moves from that. Our recent acquisition of Vivint really reflects our view on how that transition and control, starting with the home, is really important. And it's really important to how our customers are able to manage. I mean, our customers now have a sophisticated platform and an ecosystem inside their homes that connects everything. Uh, you know, we used to call this sort of the Internet of Things, and
Right.
that verbiage has transcended.
Yes.
But it really does come down to being able to control, being able to personalize, and being able to maximize efficiency. And so, our ability to help our customers make those choices, what's comfortable for them, how much are they willing to contribute to grid resiliency, those sorts of conversations. I don't think anybody ever talked about those sorts of things from a residential perspective before, and now we're bringing that opportunity to the customer and giving them a
Yeah.
chance to really have a say in it. Historically, we've got such a legacy of market knowledge. We've got a legacy of a connected platform. It helps us make that demand side management a reality, and really helps us keep our customers at the forefront of deciding how they want to use their power. I mean, one of the examples. In June of this summer, our Reliant is one of our retail brands. The Reliant customers in ERCOT with smart thermostats, they enrolled in a summer demand response program, and they averaged a 20 to 30% reduction in demand during a single 4-hour period. So, I mean, this is a meaningful adjustable load that as the grid transitions to more intermittent sources, and we're looking for ways to help manage that. This is one of the incredible opportunities I think that we have to really take advantage of the technology that we have, the willingness of our customers to participate in the transition, and really bring control into the customer's hands.
Yeah, well, credit to your program and credit to those customers. I'm speaking to you today from Austin, Texas, where this summer they went. I think the statistic is 100 days where it didn't go below 100 degrees. That is that is a stressed grid and stressed resources. So when you're talking about expanding, retiring coal and gas plants and bringing on renewable energy solution or resources, and then the efficiency that you are engaging in for your customers. This is the combination of things that I think the efficiency, maybe even storage solutions, that are going to enable some of the renewable resources that are more intermittent to be able to come online to address those types of power needs.
No, that's right. And I mean, it's clear that the use and the demand for renewables is growing significantly, and Texas is a fantastic case in point in terms of a grid that has really taken on a significant number of renewables in the last 20 years, right? I mean, the growth of wind and solar here, because it's an incredible resource. So why not take advantage of it? But helping our customers to be able to manage that is important to us.
Necessary. Yes, yes, that's great. So I'm seeing some of the things that you've talked about are some of the trends we've been hearing about in Dynamo in the macro trends in the industry. What kinds of macro trends do you see that are currently facing you or in your customers, your operations? Like, how are you thinking about this in terms of your role as Chief Sustainability Officer for these macro trends?
Sure. Well, I mean, first and foremost, right, decarbonization. But when we talk about the control down to the thermostat level, we're talking about digitization, right, and
Mhm.
then also personalization, right. So those three terms, I think, really uh, encompass a lot of what we're offering for our customers, and a lot of what we're seeing on the demand side from our customers, right. They really want to be able to visualize what it is that their consumption is. They want to be able to visualize what their solutions are, right? And so that means having access online. That means being able to see the solution, to see your consumption, and to be able to understand what it means when you turn off appliances or when you adjust your thermostat. Certainly during times of grid need. So, looking at that decarbonization, digitalization, and that personalization are really important. I mean, sustainable practices, I think clearly those are no longer something that you opt into, right? They're mandatory, and people want to improve their environmental impact and decarbonize. And you're connected with your phone almost every minute of the day, right?
Yeah.
And so you now have the opportunity to be connected to your home in a similar way, right? And see what's going on, even if you're not there. And so that digitization of data and of information that historically, we've gone by feel or we've gone by monthly bill,
I
is
was just going
now
to say that.
right? It's now granular to a level where you can really have an impact. And so then that leads into the personalization idea, where you can adjust it for how you want to be. If you want to leave home and set your thermostat 10 degrees higher, you can do that. If you decide that you need to adjust it because you're on your way home from a trip and you'd like to cool things off, you can do that, and you can do that remotely, and you can see the impact that it has both on your consumption as well as on your bill. So,
Mhm.
that kind of empowerment now really gives us the chance to have customers who are not only engaged, but customers who understand the products that they're buying. And, I think the conversation around energy now has been has really become more of a daily conversation than
Yes.
ever, right, in the history of the decades that I've been involved in the energy business. So it makes it really interesting when the person who works at the checkout at the grocery has something to say about how the grid is operated. And so that kind of interplay now, gives us a great opportunity to talk to educated customers, and
Right.
that's something that I think is only really good for the industry.
It makes me think what you've just been saying reminds me of 20 years ago when I ran Con Edison's billing systems. The best data feedback we could get for customers was their monthly bill, like you just
Right.
mentioned. And when you think about the granularity, the accessibility, the ease of being able to monitor what's happening with your own usage at a much more refined level, it makes for much better decision making. And so those are the informed customers that you're catering to now, and these are the types of more advanced solutions. So I think you've nailed what we've been hearing about in terms of macro trends affecting customers, and then how that, of course, is something that is paramount for NRG to serve. Um, it sounds like you're working on a lot of things: the decarbonization, digitalization, and personalization for services for customers. In terms of those things or others, what are some of the biggest things that you're working on right now and that you see for the future in 2024 for NRG?
So, I think people really want to be able to increase efficiencies, right? They want to have more control. They want to be able to reduce load when it makes sense for them, either economically or from a reliability perspective, or increase the amount of renewables. So, working on that, and that goes to personalization all the way to the corporate customer, right? So, and that
Mhm.
really is in defining what it is that you would like to be a part of. And if you want to be 100% renewable, then we can help facilitate that for you, whether it's coming from something that's within your local area, or whether that's coming from something further away. We have the opportunity to be able to help with that. And so, some of the things that I'm working on are still creating the pathways for our own customers.
Sure.
And we, as I mentioned earlier, we learn from our customers, and they get the benefit of our journey as well. So as we're working towards that, there are also more, um, I would say, concrete ways that we're looking at helping our customers reduce the carbon impact. A lot of customers are looking at different ways to buy natural gas, right? They may be
Mhm.
looking at either carbon offsets, and trying to understand that market and what does that mean, because there's a lot of conversation around sources and the way those carbon offsets are discussed. There are also ways that we can look at methane intensity, upstream for natural gas, right? As we're looking at certified gas,
Yes.
and giving our customers that element if they're looking at methane intensity management. And then there's also renewable natural gas, right? So as some of our customers are looking to try and participate in those types of projects and take gas off of a project that is using methane capture generally.
This is a lot to look forward to in 2024 and beyond. So I think the focus on the customer is a theme that I keep hearing from you, which is great. I'm going to ask you one more question before we get into a little bit more about your involvement with Dynamo. The, the term sustainability has really evolved over time, as has the role of people who are working in this space. How would you define the role of the chief sustainability officer as it has changed over time?
Sure. So, I feel like the chief sustainability officer um, encompasses so many things, and in order for
Fast.
the role to be effective, you have to be able to work across the company. It is not something that you can
Mhm.
do in a vacuum. It is not something that
Right.
you can do without working with your operations teams, understanding your efficiencies, working with your customers to understand what it is that they're buying, and what's important to them. And in addition to that, you've got to work with investors, right? Because,
That's
at the end of the day, we are a public company, and our investors and tell us what it is that's important to them. And they help us to decide, where we can make our investments, and how we can best move our strategy along in in this huge universe of options and ways to look at the marketplace. So, we've got a great strategy, and the way that we're looking at the home, and the way that we're building off of those opportunities with our customers, are, I think, the chance for the chief sustainability officer to play a role in how some of those commercial products um, get created is something that's relatively new, and
yes,
the role
and
that
exciting.
that and very exciting, right? Because you get to look at what our customers are asking for, not through the lens necessarily of just of marketing. It's really more through the lens of defining what a customer is asking for, and what they really want in the context of their own goals, right? So we
Mhm.
can help them create a solution for them that really matches their stated goals. And if you talk to people who are in a company of more than two, you're going to get different responses on kind of what some
Right.
of the goals and requirements are based on their job description. um, you know, Within the chief sustainability officer role, understanding all of those different perspectives is really important, and being able to craft uh, a cogent strategy that goes with managing those perspectives of our customers is really important, and do that within the context of our own business strategy, of our own investors, and try and create a cleaner future. And I think that's really the goal of what this role is. Um, it's so much more than reporting, and I think
It's so
that's
much more than reporting, which is where I was kind of going with this, because when sustainability first came about, I remember it being much more of a compliance type of concept. And now it has been so, I think you nailed it. It's such a broad scope of important operations, also, of course, governance, but services that the customer requires in order to
yeah.
meet these larger
It's
goals, right?
it's shades of green, and it's also really it's the opportunity to create and structure those solutions that make sense. So when you look at sustainability now, there's so much breadth to the entire topic. There's so much breadth and perspective depending on where someone is coming from.
Right.
in their own environment, in their own world, as to what's important to them. So we try and uh, keep all those perspectives in mind, and try and make sure that
Just
sustainability
juggle
really
every
does.
opinion, Lynda. No problem. You got this.
So, and everyone has one, right? You know this, but you've got to determine what makes the most sense from a business
Right.
perspective, and what makes the most sense for a customer solution, and try and make sure that those two marry each other.
Yeah, well put. Um, just to close out, wanted to recognize that NRG has been a member of Dynamo for a long time now, and we just love working with you all. We've learned so much from you. It's great having your voices in the room when we're talking about important issues and seeing you lead the way. What I wanted to just close with is, what is it that Dynamo means to you, and how do you relate to some of the things that we do, and just hear a little bit about your perspective there.
Oh yeah, no, I've got a lot to say on that topic, Kristen. I mean, aside from being devotees of yourself and Mead, that and sort of a happiness and willingness
Who says
to
hello
follow
from the
you.
top? Because when we're
Oh,
filming this right now, yeah.
fantastic! Yes, I can't wait to get the rundown on
Hmm.
how the sessions have gone. Um, but aside from that, and from the personal engagement that we've had over the years, right, which has been really impressive from a corporate perspective, the ability to interact with so many diverse types of entities. I mean,
Yes.
look, if we just go back to the Climate Week in New York this September. I mean, we were
It was
talking
great.
to banks, to tech, to media, to government, to investors, and all of those industries with an energy perspective, right?
Right.
And the ability to hear from the Prime Minister of Norway,
I know.
and the ability to hear from, the Department of Energy, and the ability to hear
The Chief
from
Sustainability Officer of NRG.
well, maybe that less so, but the investors who are looking at new tech, talking about AI specifically for the energy world. I mean, that is, you can't really find that blend of brains in another place. And the Dynamo Energy hubs all over the world, which is pretty cool, right? That you can land yourself in any of those. I went to the Houston launch earlier this year too,
Right.
and so had the opportunity to see quite a few people again, and connect with people who are here in my own hometown,
Yeah.
who may have been doing other things, and now they're in a clean tech space, or they're in a different kind of energy space than what they had done before, and being able to see that growth and interact with that and understand what the new opportunities are that are coming around. I mean, Dynamo really does it all, and in the way you pull it all together. And I have to say, I don't even know what your travel schedule looks like, but I've never talked to you or Mead when you've been in the same place for more than a couple of
For
days.
very
So,
long. Right?
yeah, right. So,
Yeah.
your willingness to serve your own customer base is very impressive.
Well, thank you. It's making it fun, and I think you definitely touched upon a couple of points that are near and dear to my heart. I love the fact that we get to see and hear some of these success stories from people who have kind of like crossed those stakeholder lines, where you've got the
Mhm.
big corporations talking to people who are startup entrepreneurs and investors at all levels. Like, it's this collaboration that helps make innovation happen, and then putting, like, to keep with the metaphors, like that where the rubber meets the road, where people are actually talking and having conversations and building those relationships. This is exactly what it's all about. Lynda, thank
And
you
it's
so
where
much for
companies are
joining us.
built, right? It's where companies are built,
Yes.
because the investment opportunities are presenting themselves uh, you know, in the environment where people are looking for the chance to find
The next deal, the next customer, the
the
next
next.
investor.
Absolutely. And the next opportunity to really grow this market, and continue the energy transition, because nobody has all the answers just yet. And so I feel like those answers are being created and built every day, and being able to keep an ear to the ground, through a Dynamo meeting it's just top notch.
Oh, thanks, Lynda. We love having you in the room where it's happening. So thank you very much for joining us, not only today, but for all of that you do with NRG and Dynamo.
Thanks, Kristin.
Thank you again for joining us on this Dynamo Spotlight on NRG for one of your first appearances in your new role as CSO. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Great to see you again.
This has been a Dynamo Spotlight on NRG Energy. You can find more of Dynamo's work on our website, dynamoenergyhub.com, as well as LinkedIn, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.